The black SUV screeched to a halt in the dusty driveway, its doors flying open like the jaws of a predator. Two burly men in dark hoodies grabbed my 16-year-old daughter, Lily, by the arms, hauling her kicking and screaming toward the vehicle. She fought like a wildcat, her boots scraping the gravel, but they were too strong. I stood there on the porch of our small ranch near Nashville, leaning heavily on my crutches, my face twisted in what looked like helpless terror. "Please, no. Not my girl," I shouted, my voice cracking with feigned despair. But inside, my heart pounded with cold calculation. This was no random kidnapping, it was the climax of a meticulously planned trap. My broken leg was a sham, the cast-a-prop I'd worn for months to lure these bastards in. As the engine roared and they sped off with Lily, I whispered to myself, "Got you now." My name is Jack Harlan, a former military IT specialist turned freelance computer repairman. I'd left the service years ago, trading battlefield intel for fixing laptops on this isolated patch of land. 3 years back, cancer took my wife, leaving me to raise Lily alone. She was a bright spark, running a popular online channel where she shared glimpses of our ranch life, mucking stalls, tinkering with drones, and even the basic hacking tricks I taught her from my old days. With 85,000 followers, she turned our quiet existence into something visible, which, as it turned out, painted a target on our backs. Folks saw me as a harmless cripple, hobbling around after a recent accident that shattered my leg. Little did they know that injury had healed long ago. The crutches were just bait, making us look like easy prey for the wolves circling isolated families like ours. It all started with a slick package in the mail from the Harmony Ridge Community Association, a fake HOA demanding $500 a month in fees, plus $10,000 for bogus property improvements, or they'd slap us with liens and lawsuits. I spotted it for what it was, a sophisticated shakedown by organized crooks preying on rural homeowners. Instead of ignoring it, I played dumb, posting about it on social media with mocking comments to seem like a naive mark. Why us? These scum researched their victims wealthy enough to pay, isolated enough to intimidate, and visible online to track. Patterns I'd been monitoring for months showed this wasn't some amateur gig. It was professional, hitting families across Tennessee and Kentucky. The harassment escalated fast, turning our peaceful ranch into a war zone. First, our mailbox was smashed to splinters. Then, dead fish rotting on the porch, a stench that lingered for days. Tires slashed on my truck, forcing me to hobble around even more convincingly. Lily's trail cameras caught the masked figures scouting the property at night, moving with military precision that set my old instincts on fire. Then came the phone call, a gravelly voice warning me about Lily's school routine, hinting they'd snatch her if I didn't pay up. Rage boiled in my veins. No one threatens my kid. I sat her down that night, explaining this like a chess game. "They're making moves," I said, "but we're thinking 3 steps ahead." Drawing on my military training, I turned our home into a fortress without them knowing. I'd been onto these scams for months, faking my injury to appear vulnerable and draw them out. The goal? Overconfidence breeds mistakes. We rigged hidden cameras everywhere, security feeds piping to monitors in the barn. I took early morning watches, scanning the horizon for trouble. And trouble came roaring in one dawn. 3 black SUVs barreling down the drive, led by Rocco Vance, a hulking enforcer with a scar twisting his lip into a permanent sneer. His crew piled out, guns holstered but threats barked. I played the part perfectly, crutching out to the porch, begging, "Please, I ain't got that kind of money. Leave us be." That's when the trap sprung. As Rocco charged, our free-range chickens swarmed him, pecking and flapping in a feathered frenzy that had him cursing and swatting. One goon hit a clothesline at full speed, crumpling like a rag doll. Another slipped on a strategically placed cow pie, tumbling into the pig pen where our hogs rooted him senseless. The third got cornered by our bull, horns lowered in a standoff that ended with him scrambling over the fence, pants torn and dignity shredded. They retreated in humiliation, tires spinning dust. Lily, filming from the barn loft with her drone, captured it all. We uploaded the footage anonymously titled something innocuous about city slickers failing at farm life, and it exploded, racking up millions of views. The drone tailed their SUVs straight to Victoria Lang's mansion, the so-called HOA president. I reported the attack to Sheriff Hayes, keeping my suspicions vague to avoid tipping my hand. He filed the paperwork, but warned of blowback. Digging deeper, I linked the fake HOA to a string of extortion 6 local families already bleeding protection money. Then Victoria showed up unannounced, all elegance and steel in her designer suit. She apologized for the misunderstanding, but her eyes were shark cold. "You're smarter than you look, Mr. Harlan," she purred, offering me a cut 30% if I'd lend my IT skills to expand their racket. Refuse, and well, the threats hung unspoken. Lily, sneaky as ever, planted a GPS on her car and snapped photos of her phone, revealing victim lists and dirty finances. That night, I dropped the act with Lily, yanking off the cast to reveal my healed leg. This was always the plan, I confessed, spilling my full military intel background. We'd turn the tables. Visiting those victim families was gut-wrenching. A kidnapped child ransomed back broken, a widow harassed into near suicide. They became allies, sharing stories that fueled our fire. Mia uncovered Victoria's real identity ties to shadowy high rollers with endless cash, making her untouchable in ways that screamed corruption at the top. Controversy swirled in my mind. Was I crossing lines, playing vigilante when the law dragged its feet? But seeing those broken lives, I didn't care. We set the final trap. Hidden cams, drones, forged docs to lure them in. Coordinated quietly with the sheriff and feds, but a close Cala drive-by from Rocco reminded us how thin the ice was. The showdown went down at an old cabin on our land. Victoria arrived with Rocco, his crew, and a fake family of actors posing as testimonials. I pretended to cooperate, discussing expansion over coffee laced with tension. But I slipped, standing without crutches, my legs strong and steady. Victoria's face twisted in realization. "You son of a," she snarled, ordering the attack. Chaos erupted as our protocol kicked in, sprinklers dousing them in icy water, air horns blasting eardrums, animals unleashed, chickens pecking, goats butting, pigs charging, the bull rampaging like a demon. Trip wires snagged legs, an electric fence zapped a thug mid-lunge, and a hidden pit swallowed another. Gunfire cracked the air, but our setup turned their assault into a farce. Sheriff Hayes and the feds swooped in, cuffs clicking as actors spilled confessions mid-panic. The arrests hit like thunder. Victoria got slammed with organized crime and extortion charges, 18 years behind bars. Rocco drew 12 for kidnapping and assault, his goons 4 to 8 each. Our evidence was ironclad. Videos, recordings, financial trails, victim testimonies stacking like dominoes. But as they hauled her away, Victoria leaned close, whispering, "This isn't over. You have no idea who's backing me." Her words chilled me, implying a vast criminal web, untouchable elites pulling strings. Was she bluffing, or had I poked a hornet's nest? The fallout was massive, stirring debates nationwide. 6 families freed from their nightmare, funds recovered, communities healing, but at what cost? My methods sparked controversy, vigilante justice or necessary defense. Online, it blew up. Lily's footage hitting 25 million views, spawning documentaries and memes, like Rocco's chicken dance, becoming a symbol of humiliated thugs. It exposed over a dozen linked scams, sparking new laws, FBI task forces, a national HOA database, and $3.2 million clawed back from crooks. Personally, we reaped rewards, awards for bravery, consulting jobs for me, scholarships for Lily. Our ranch morphed into an educational hub, teaching scam resistance and self-defense. Support groups sprang up, inspired by our story. Yet, the bond between Lily and me forged unbreakable in that fire. We'd stared down evil, but the controversy lingered. Was my deception heroic or dangerously rogue? The criminal empire seemed to vanish overnight, but Victoria's warning echoed. In a world where the powerful prey on the weak, sometimes you fight dirty to win. And win we did, but the shadows whispered of battles yet to come.